So the one time I said I would talk about later was when we came in 1974, August, September. That was a very difficult time because Prabhupada became very, very ill. After a week or so, we had letters sent to all the temples saying they could do 24-hour Kirtan. This was the first time, actually, this 24-hour Kirtan had started, and it was because Prabhupada was ill, and we were concerned that something would, that he was going to leave. He hadn't eaten for a few weeks. So during that time, again, construction was going on, where the ladies are sitting on that little, what's it called, deck, the patio right there. There was just brick there, but there was just flat brick, and Prabhupada had a bed outside because it was August, September, so every day is like 42 degrees, right? Every night, 38 degrees or 37 degrees. It was very, very hot. So he would come and sleep outside. And Jamuna was here, Daiva Shakti was here at that time. So we were all trying to take, Kaladri was here at that time. Him and I both got malaria while we were here serving Prabhupada. But Prabhupada, I don't know what it was, actually he said to me, he said the illness was because so many leaders weren't following. It's actually what he said. That's why the illness was there. So, but during that time, there was the minister, it was the governor of UP, I guess, right? He was coming, and he was instrumental in acquiring cement to finish the temple. Cement was not easy to get at all at that time. It was rationed out, how much you could get. And of course, a lot involved politics. So this gentleman, this politician, was freeing up cement to finish the project. Now, Prabhupada had been laying in bed for 3 weeks when he came. I would put my hands under his arms to bring him into the bathroom, bring him back to his room, back and forth. If he went outside, I would, same thing, we would have to hold him up so he didn't fall. But he heard the minister was coming, and he said, I have to speak. He hadn't spoken, he hadn't been outside for a long time, but now he was going to speak. He said he had to. And it was the morning. He wasn't eating. And he called me in to a sitting room. And he was sitting on the bed. And he looked at me. He said, "You have to shave me." Again, he was going to shave because he was going to go out and present himself. I shaved my wife told me to shave. I had like 5 days. I thought, yes, shave. So I shaved, but that's what he did. He said, "You have to shave me." So now I didn't use an electric razor. I used his shaver that he had, his little Schick double, whatever it was, double razor blades. And I shaved that face of Prabhupada's. You see Prabhupada's face. You can imagine moving everything around to try to give him a clean shave. The fact that he even trusted me to do it meant a lot, because it was very different when I first joined him back in 1972. This was 1974, so 2 years before, when I became his servant. The day came to shave his head, and he said to me, he had an electric clippers that he used to do his head. He didn't use a razor blade. For that, he used the electric clippers. And I got the clippers, and I'm sitting, and he said, "Now, this is what you do." And he said, "Put the clipper here to the head." He said, "You turn it on, you go to the Sika, you turn it off. You go back to the front, you turn it on, you go back to the Sika." So he had me turning it off. Every time I took it off his head, he told me to turn it off. I didn't ask him why. I very rarely ask Prabhupada why for anything, because I figured it doesn't matter why, I'm just supposed to do it. I assumed a few things. I thought it got hot. I didn't think it was about saving electricity. That was just too much. But I figured it, because they do get hot. If you're familiar with electric clippers, they got hot. And Prabhupada was very sensitive. And then he said, "Be very careful around my ears." And Prabhupada, you see Prabhupada's ears. Very careful around my ears. So I did. And so now 2 years later, he's putting a razor blade in my hand and telling me to do his face. So that was actually a compliment. He trusted me to do it. So I shaved him. I helped him. Got dressed, dhoti, kurta. And then I got the tilak. I helped him with the tilak. And then I left the room, getting things ready. Then he rang the bell. I came back in, he said, "It's time to go." "Yes, Prabhupada." And he looked at me. He said, "Do I have my tilak on?" Then I realized Prabhupada was just, he had put it on 2 minutes before. But he had very, very high fever. But when he said that, and I just said, "Yes, Prabhupada, your tilak is on." He said, "Okay, we go." Then we took him out. He sat down, and no one ever knew he didn't feel well. Hadn't eaten for 3 weeks. He just delivered a very wonderful lecture, praised the man, said what we're doing here, which everything he said and more has come true. And then he came back in and went right back into the bed and laid down. But that was it. And it's the one thing I learned more than anything else. You never give up your service. If you can get out there, if you have to lie down, if you have an opportunity to do your service, you do it. I mean, we see Prabhupada, his very last breath, he never stopped. And he always tried to show us this example. And it's a hard one to follow. And sometimes it's difficult to even understand the level that Prabhupada would perform his service. So then he's back in bed. Days are going on. It's very difficult. And it's very, very hot. And so then one day, now this is right in the middle, he would eat sometimes a piece of orange, 1-2 slices of orange, just to get some. So one evening he rang the bell. And I went in and he said, "I want you to make upma like I taught you." So I said, "Yes, Prabhupada." I said, "Jamuna's here." He said, "No, I want you to make it." He said, "The way I showed you." I said, "Yes, Prabhupada." So that was in his room. So right outside his room, the ladies are on the other side of the door. It wasn't necessarily always ladies. Whoever was on the other side of Prabhupada's room would be trying to hear what Prabhupada was saying, because it was always relishable. Whatever it was, we wanted to know. So Jamuna, maybe Palika, they're on the other side of the door. So I come through the door, they said, "What did Prabhupada want?" I said, "He wants me to make upma." And Jamuna became very excited. She said, "Get started, you know." I said, "Jamuna, he wants me to make it the way he showed it." Immediately she just said, "Wonderful." She said, "How can I help you?" This was Jamuna. No ego, no false ego. Not I'm Jamuna, I'm the cook of the Hare Krishna movement. Prabhupada taught me everything, himself. No, she said, "How can I serve you?" That's a devotee. This is how we are. This is how we should be. So she assisted me. Right away she said, "We don't have anything." We didn't have any, he wasn't even eating, so we didn't have vegetables, but she had a trunk, her Prabhupada kitchen trunk. And in there were dehydrated peas. So she said, "I'll get her." She hydrated the peas, and then we made upma. I made upma with her and brought in a little katuri. So we're all so excited. Prabhupada asked to eat. This was a great sign. So I bring it in, put the little table down, and just put this one katuri with upma in it, and put it down, offer obeisances, and left the room. So about 5 minutes go by, and you hear the little bell, ding, 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 ding. So I run back in, the ladies are on the other side, the door waiting. Is he eating? So I go in, And of course, right away as I'm walking in, and I'm right up by his bed, and I already see all the upmas in there. Now I'm offering obeisances, and I'm already thinking, oh, I didn't really eat anything. As soon as I get up, he looks at me. This upma was first class. He said, I want you to know. He said, it's very good. He said, and I thought if you made something that I like very much, that maybe it would give me appetite. He said, but I have no appetite. He said, but you should know the upma's first class. This is Prabhupada. He was there, for all we knew, he was leaving in days. But he knew I was upset he didn't eat anything. He said I ate a little bit. I always say, just like a child, you know, when they don't like, they move it around, you know, so make it look different. You know, that's what it seemed like he moved it around just to make me feel better. Maybe he took a spoonful, but he had no ability to eat. But that was what he was, at the moment he was concerned about me, that I had done this service, and I felt bad that he didn't eat something. Huh? You know, this is why I'm here. Who's like that? You know, who do you know puts everyone before themselves? He did. So then, one night, you see, they're again sitting there. So Prabhupada's bed was there. So every night I would go. No, outside where you're sitting, right where you're sitting, that's where the bed was. Yeah, outside, not inside. Because it was a little cooler. Remember, you know, none of this was here, you know, so it was cool. Cooler. And it had a mosquito net that hung from the poles all the way down to the ground, the brick and Brajraj, which was keeping the brick in place. So I would come in the evening, and he would get in there, so many mosquitoes. And these mosquitoes were giving all of us malaria. I had malaria 3 times in that room. These were very special mosquitoes. They were dangerous. So we had this mosquito net. And I would come under the net to massage Prabhupada, obviously. So that was very sweet. And then I'd massage him. And then he would just say, okay. Always. See, Prabhupada was always, he let you know he was in charge. Because he was. You know, he was the guru. He was the Acharya. He was heavy. If you ever tried to do anything, at least with me, if I tried to act independently, if I stopped the massage, especially at nighttime, sometimes it would seem like he went to sleep and you're massaging him and you're tired, and you squeeze a little harder. These are the things that would go on. But he would always tell you, okay. In the afternoon or morning when you massaged him, every spot he would tell you when to stop. You did his head until he told you to stop. You did his back until he told you to stop. Do here, every part. This leg, and you go to the next one. I learned that because he let me do it on my own schedule. How many times? 3 times. I became so expert, I thought, that I just started rubbing his head and, oh, that's good enough, and then I went to his back. So he let me do it for 3 days. And on the 3rd day, I massaged his head, and then I took my hands off his head. You massage me until I tell you to stop, not until you tell you to stop. So being his servant was very wonderful. It was very easy in many ways, because I didn't mind taking orders from him. But he gave orders all the time. You had to be first class. You had to know what he wanted all the time. Otherwise, you're just interfering with his service. You're distracting him. No, it's important. So, massage him, then I lay down under the bed, because the mosquito net went to the ground, so that protected me from the mosquitoes as well. So we did that every night. So one night, and again, I'd have to bring him, sit him down. So one night, he was lying in bed. I'm under the bed, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And I hear a cane drop. I heard something drop. So I'm on the ground already, so I just roll over and I see Prabhupada lying on the ground. So naturally I get up, I get him, and I sit him on the bed. And I said, Prabhupada, what happened? He said, I had to go pass. He said, and you're sleeping. He said, I didn't want to disturb you. He said, and I thought I had enough strength. He said, but I have no strength. So I said, Prabhupada, I said, I'm lying under your bed. I said, to serve you. I said, to help. I said, you can't do that. I said, you have to tell me. Yes, he said. Yes, he said, I thought I could. He said, but I can see I can't. So I like chastised him. You know, I said, Prabhupada, I'm just here. Sometimes I would say that. He would ask me to do something. I say, Prabhupada, I'm waiting to do something for you. But see, this is a devotee. This is just a gentleman. Prabhupada was everything wonderful. How could you not want to be with such a person? You know, that's what he did.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare